Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to the Islands of Discord. In the last episode, the Bandit brothers finally returned to their territory, only to find their home in a complete state of disarray. The rogue male baby has been born, Nukilik has finally come back with Misfit too, but they were just a moment too late. By the time they returned to the camp, everything was already in shambles, and the Bandit brothers had already returned too. So now they know that Nukilik didn't listen to their orders. He snuck away to help Misfit, to try to find him some medicine in fact for his wounds. But none of that was ever to be, and he only left their camp open to attack by the rogue males. So Rodukro in particular, he has got to be furious. His own mate has seen the worst of it, and now they have this little dilemma to take care of too. Poor sweet Dilemma probably doesn't even realize what's going on. She's so tiny, she hasn't even opened her eyes yet. She hasn't even grown her very first gem. I would imagine that the bandits probably wouldn't even waste time naming her. They would just keep calling her a Dilemma. So as she grows, that's probably where that name is going to take root. I know that the bandits do accept quite a bit of a riffraff into their ranks. They basically allow any wandering thief or bandit to join them, as long as they have something good to offer the tribe. But they still have a one golden rule to follow, and it's that you do not ignore orders from the bandits themselves, the superiors, the head of the mission. And that's exactly what Nukilik did. I'm sure that Misfit would try to soften the blow. He's standing right in between his father and his mentor, trying desperately to get him to understand. But I don't think it's going to work. At the most, hearing his son's side of the story might help him decide to let Nukilik to live. Otherwise, he may have just attacked him until he ran away, and with the way that he's wounded right now from that previous Baryena attack, that would mean sure death for the wise old elder. But no matter what, Nukilik is not going to be allowed to stay here. His act was just as good as betrayal in Rodukro's eyes. So since they have two creatures to get rid of, I wonder if maybe they would thrust Dilemma right into his paws, kind of like his final charge to take off into the grasses, so they'll never have to see either of their faces again. But in the process, we're going to have to strip him of his gems. He is no longer part of the bandit tribe anymore, no longer part of the bandit faction, so we have a brand new color to show that he has been banished, as if all of his strength has been pulled away by the might of our deities. We'll do the same for Dilemma too when she grows her first gem. But for now, I think our tribe is probably going to want to get as far away from here as possible. Not to mention Kuvan and Rodukro, they need to make sure that rogue male isn't going to come back for a second time. We know that Orzel scared him away pretty good. He actually bit him too, so he should be poisoned. But let's have Rodukro creep his way to his mate's side. We'll bring him down here as soon as Kuvan follows him. Gosh, I wonder what Kuvan is thinking about this whole situation. I mean, to begin with, when Rodukro met Lala, and he could see that his brother was falling head over heels, he was shaking his head just knowing that trouble was sure to follow. Now he probably realizes that he was definitely right. His brother is getting far too sentimental in this mortal realm. He was never like this before. Family has always been important to the bandits, but he's never seen his brother this angry, not even during their first life. Well, let's have Rodukro come down here too. We'll set him up on this side so we can sniff a little bit further into the grass. He's a little bit better at smelling than his son would be with those poison fangs of his. But the only thing that they can really sense are these bunnies. I guess we should probably go after them though. Maybe Orzel could help us out. I know that he's not going to be able to take them down in one swipe, but by poisoning the bunny, you should be able to find all of that meat on the next turn. And that's one less bunny to steal all of your precious berries. That's another thing that Lala has been pretty frantic about. The berry bushes in general are all looking pretty withered. We haven't had a good rainfall in such a long time that a pretty heavy drought has settled in the area. Oh, and Robin? It looks like you have another little bunny to swipe. Yes, I was hoping that was the one that you had attacked before. We'll have you pick up that meat in just a moment. because I would prefer that this bunny doesn't steal this one last berry. But I'm not sure if Nukilik has the energy to spare. With his gems devoured like this, it's probably just as good as Mulberry's misfortune. Maybe we could have Misfit jump to the other side? He probably won't be able to finish off the bunny either, not without an extra swipe. But he must be so unbelievably torn. He probably feels like all of this is his fault to begin with, because if he hadn't gotten hurt, then his mentor wouldn't have left. Oh my gosh, and with the pure black gems? It is almost impossible to see exactly how many days worth of energy he still has. Well, let's have him go ahead and scoop up that extra meat, that one last gift that Misfit has offered, and then we should probably bring him over to the nest as soon as Lala backs away. She'll jump up here to be with her other baby, and we'll have Nukilik swoop in to protect the baby from any dangers. Who knows if a bluebird is going to use this moment to swoop down from the skies, now that a little bandit baby has been made an outcast. While with Lala over here, right next to her mate once more, she should be able to smell much better into the grasses. So she can try to figure out which area they should go to next, where they can hopefully find a better base to settle down. Oh, and you know, I just realized I think her little Dodomingo friend may have passed away. It's been such a long time since we last saw him, and I think he was around here somewhere last. This was where our other permanent nest was too. So I think on top of everything else, she's even lost her best Dodomingo friend, the one that she had from the very beginning. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll find another one wandering out here, and it can lead us to another good bandit base. But for now, let's have Rodukro try his best to carve his way straight toward those swamplands. That probably wouldn't be such a bad place for them to snoop around. It would certainly help Orzel, because they'll probably find quite a few poison berries there. Let's let Lala land a good swipe on the bunnies too. She is probably just so fed up with these things stealing her berries all the time. She still needs to find a way to cure Misfit after all, so collecting berries is more important than ever. Now let's go back to the Balance Sisters, where things are relatively peaceful. There isn't quite so much drama, at least. There is still that rogue male lurking in the darkness, but we're doing our best to keep away from him, and so far he hasn't noticed Seafoam again. That's probably because she's tucked away inside the grasses and right next to her sister. Quicksand isn't going to let anything happen to her. The baby, however, we have to keep a very close eye on you, little Sky. And poor Simber is probably just beside himself right now. He hates being out in the open because he remembers that day the bluebird almost swept him away. So as much as this is going to pain him, I think we're going to have to scoot him out into the savannas. We'll bring Sky right in a shadow so she can tuck herself away into the tall grasses like he was. I guess he's trying to teach her the best ways to hide, though she probably sees it like more of a game. Where the firstborns of the Balance Sisters had grown up in a time of chaos, Sky has basically only known peace. She's never seen a bluebird before, she's never seen a Berryina, so everything is pretty much just a game to her. But I think we're going to have to leave you right there, and unfortunately it doesn't look like there are any roots for you to scoop up, so you can just keep the baby occupied for now. Now Seafoam, if we could find some berries for you to collect? Well, we have a berry bush over here, but how likely is it that these bunnies didn't devour every last berry? Oh, you actually did leave a little bit for us. This is probably hard for her though. There's a permanent nest right next to it. Do you think that means that somebody already lives here? Oh, and that was only one measly little berry too. Yeah, she probably didn't want to take too much. Just enough to keep her sister full, since she's the only one with a claw. But despite the fact that she's the strongest in their faction right now, they're still letting Robin take the lead. And she hasn't let them astray yet. Really? Now you hit a roadblock, Robin? Well, at least this would be a pretty good place for Simber to hide out. Right in between two rocks. If he thought his hiding rock was good before over here, he is going to love this place. And it is actually super close to the oak tree too. This is about the direction that I'm expecting Robin to head in. She's probably using the tree as a landmark, and as soon as the Balance sisters realize that there's water in the distance, as soon as they can hear that stream... Oh, hello, little bunny. Wrong move for you, I'm afraid. As soon as they hear that stream, they're going to take off in an instant. We'll just have Seafoam go ahead and pick up some of the grasses around here for now, packing those little bits of nesting material away for later. And then I believe we should be ready to skip the day. So that means Dilemmaly, she should be growing her very first gem now. But what should be a celebration is anything but today. Her gem is going to be the same lifeless color of power devoured by our deities, devoid of any loyalty to a single group on this island. But as she's so young, this is truly all that she knows. Just this tired, aimless ambling, and the strong claw behind her, keeping her fed despite his own woes. Go ahead and scoop up that last little bit of meat for us. And then you, Misfit, grab those berries off the bush for us too. One last meal that you can possibly offer up to your mentor. I think he's probably going to have to part ways with him now. As much as I'm sure he would love to join these two, he knows it's simply not meant to be. If his family found out that they took him too, they would hunt them down relentlessly. And despite the difficult path ahead of them, he wants to imagine that they can still find a way to live peacefully out in the savannas. So with those last few berries, he'll turn back to his family and urge them to carry on, so they don't change their minds and turn back to attack them in the end. I wonder where that bunny that Orzel was hunting ran off to. It must have skittered deep into the grass somewhere. Oh, that's a little bit unfortunate. Maybe he's going to have to watch as his uncle does some hunting instead. I suppose he could probably learn a few pointers this way, though for a kid who has been underestimated one too many times, I can't imagine he would be too willing to be mentored by one of his elders. He probably just assumes that Kuvan thinks he's not strong enough too. So let's have him lunge toward the swamplands, eager to find some more bunnies. But instead he has found a permanent nest for us to use, right on the cusp of the swamplands too. That's rather interesting. Well, I would like for Lala to stay back here for a moment to grab those extra berries, but we could have Rodukro jump ahead to investigate. We'll have him clear out this area, just to make sure that nobody else is still lurking. So far, so good. That rogue male is nowhere to be found. I wonder if maybe he's gotten himself trapped out in the tide pools. We have found that time and time again, rogue males who go a little bit too deep into the water and then can't seem to fight their way out. Maybe we'll have to have our bandit brothers investigate that area again too. For now, just go ahead and pick up the grasses around here. And then Lala, you can tuck yourself right next to your mate's side. We might want to have her breed with him again just in case, because with the amount of rogue males we saw out here, I can't imagine they're in the clear. One last glance over your shoulder, Misfit, and then it's time for you to melt back into the savannas too. Nukilik has one more turn to use, and unfortunately it seems like both of them only have one in eyesight. They must have short-sighted eyes. That's going to make it pretty hard for them to move through these grasses. I guess they would probably rely on hearing then, and maybe they would even hear the water in the distance too. I suppose that they could always follow the stream right down to the ocean, and the very same tide pools where our Balance sisters are heading. Oh, Sky, do you have your second gem now? Oh, thank goodness. Now Simba doesn't have to worry quite so much about you, and in fact he can finally dart back into the grasses. Sprint into the safety of the darkness, but not before making sure the Sky is truly following. Actually, if she's going to make this something of a game, I suppose we could have her jump all the way over to the grass right here, lighting up a little bit more of Termite City along the way. Oh, and that Dodomingo is still lurking. There must be another nest over here. I wonder if that does actually mean that somebody else is wandering around here too. It would be excellent if the Balance sisters could find another creature to accept into their ranks. Somebody who doesn't have any ties to the rogues. Ooh, you know, since we do have 2 outcasts on the island now, why don't we actually change their ranks over to Omegas as well? It's probably not going to mean much gameplay-wise, but if we do run out of food, it would make more sense if they were the last ones to eat. So, do you think they might be able to hear the stream in the distance by now? I wonder if Quicksand can just barely hear it in the distance. She would probably yell out to Seafoam that there's water out there, and of course Seafoam would dive in straight away. She is sick and tired of standing beneath the stifling sun, and she wants nothing more than to see her beautiful ocean again. So perhaps a little bit overeager to break free from this darkness, we'll have the sisters play leapfrog as they light the way to the stream. Their kids have probably never seen them so excited before. I wonder if they would find that a little bit startling. Robin especially, but at least that means that she made the right decision. She has definitely led them in the right direction. Only one little berry for you? Well, that's a little bit disappointing. Well, at least we're going to have plenty of acorns to eat soon, and you'll be able to compete with Simber to see who can crack open the most. Not that he would be too happy about such a competition. He never saw the coconuts as a competition either. But Robin is just never satisfied. I guess for now we could bring Simber right in between these two rocks, so he can sniff around this little hiding den for the time being. Gotta make sure that it's a suitable home for you and your siblings. And I wonder if Seafoam could use her 2 extra turns to find a couple of fish down here? I see that we have plenty of soggy acorns in the water, but unfortunately it doesn't look like any fish have actually spawned. Well, maybe you'll see some soon? There could always be a few down here by the tide pools, anywhere where we can actually find some algae for them to grow. Now Robin, let's have you pick up the grasses for now, just so the rest of the siblings can actually make it to the tree too. I think she's grown up a little bit on this journey. Despite all of these playful talks about competitions, she realizes the strength of working together now, and once the Banished make their way down the stream, that resolve is going to be put to the test. She might have a very big decision to make pretty soon, especially if the Balance sisters leave it up to her. They do want to make sure that she is the right leader material after all. So I think we should be ready to skip the day again. I suppose we should go back to our bandits, just to make sure that nothing nefarious is going to sneak out from the swamplands. So far so good. Nothing around here to be concerned with. No wanderers either, but I'm glad to see that we still haven't caught a whiff of the rogues. So, Orzel? Ooh, with your 3rd and final gem, look at you! All grown up now, just like your big brother. Well, now would be an awfully good time for you to truly prove yourself. And I do see that we have some of those poison berry bushes in the distance. You still haven't even gotten your very first taste, have you? Good food in general has been pretty hard to come by, so go ahead and use that last turn of yours to grab the poison berries off of the berry bush. As your mother lunges forward to grab these. Oh no, I think that bunny may have stolen a few. Well, it looks like the moles might be blocking them for now. That's a pretty good sign. The guardian moles are actually working in our favor today. That's not something you see every day. We'll have Lala go ahead and clear out the grasses around the berry bush, and then let's have her Duke breed with her again. I'm not going to place any mutations in his mutation menu. To be honest, I think we're probably going to leave our deities blank all the time. Since their families will always be changing, and the islands will be too, it wouldn't make much sense for them to commit to one single mutation. Now let's have Misfit join them too. I think he's actually going to leave the grasses behind him, and we'll have him pick up the grasses here instead. That way there will still be that little curtain of grass that separates them from the Banished. He's still afraid that his father is eventually going to turn back and change his mind, so he wants to make sure it would be difficult for him to pursue them, to help them get away as far as possible. Not that they have very much of a head start. Poor little Dilemmaly. We'll have her tumble over to this tile instead, as Nukilik jumps over to the berry bush. Oh, looks like it's already been picked clean. I guess we'll have you come over here then, guarding the way between both of the berry bushes. Maybe a little bunny will come over sniffing around these leaves, and you can grab it for Dilemmaly too. Dilemmaly is such an adorable name, though. It makes me wonder if, since she's so young, maybe she just can't pronounce dilemma, so Dilemmaly stuck instead. And despite it all, I think that having her around is really helping Nukilik. Having somebody to take care of and protect, and somebody so tiny and adorable as well. It's giving him a reason to keep on going. He could very well just throw himself into the darkness, to find another Beryena or to leave his wounds to fester. But if he passed away, there would be nobody here to watch after the baby. Now let's see if this tree is actually going to work as a home base for you two. Hopefully there's not going to be any permanent nests down there. I guess we should probably have quicksand cross first if we can. I hope that's not going to be too rough of a current. You know what, let's bring them down to the beach just in case. This is much more familiar ground to them. It means it's going to take a little bit longer for them to wind their way around to the oak tree, but I suppose that Seafoam could always try to grab a few coconuts in the meantime. Time and time again, it seems every single time you guys find some sort of resources, there's already a permanent nest in the area. It makes you wonder just how many bandits might be lurking out here. I still don't see anybody in the area, just bunnies trying to steal those berries yet again. So I think you guys should be safe. Let's cross our fingers that this tree is going to be clear for the Pellant sisters. And there's nobody following you, right? You know, something tells me your father may have passed away. Oh, there he is. With remains drifting out to sea, one last plea for Seafoam to join him. Maybe it's a good thing that the kids never got to know their father. Who knows if they would have ended up being just as sympathetic. Oh, another little bunny? Oh, I am so tempted to have you take a swipe. But honestly, Robin, it would be better off if you went down here to investigate these little acorns. Let's have you use one of your turns to try to crack it open. And then I suppose we could have Simber tiptoe his way to the water side too. This is all new territory for you guys, and even Simber can't crack this open right away. Since Sky seems to be a little bundle of energy herself, maybe she could actually be the one to come down here to help the Balance sisters clear out this area. That is an awful lot of grass for just two creatures. So scoot on in, Quicksand, and make sure it's all safe for your sister. Yeah, so far so good. You know, I think you guys may have actually found your permanent home. Go ahead and grab that extra coconut, and then we'll bring you around the water side too. Why don't you settle down right next to this berry bush, in fact. You guys will be able to replenish the food stock in no time over here. We'll have them do just that in just a moment. But first... Oh, I thought you were another rogue male for a moment, but wait a second. You've shown your head again. You are the one who attacked Lala and tried to take over our home. So I know for sure Kuvan is going to chase you away in an instant. But this one over here? Oh, do we have another lost little baby? Crescent, a little frog? With pink fur that looks suspiciously like yours. I wonder if perhaps they might be related. Maybe another rogue male baby? Another one who has been banished by his tribe. Oh, do you think we can invite him in? Swoop him under our wing with Nukilik, if only we could find enough food. Well, first things first, let's make sure that Kuvan jumps down here to swipe at this rogue male one last time. There you go, vengeance has finally been served, Lala. Rodukro, you can rest easy now. The bandits are once again a name to be feared. And if we could have Orzel devour all of these poison berries on the bush, gorging himself now that he's found it as his very favorite snack. That should give us plenty of food to offer up a little morsel to you, Crescent. Actually, Crescent. Moonlion Crescent. I wonder if he was named after our god of life? That's an interesting thought. He certainly doesn't look anything like him, but it might be more of a metaphor. All of these creatures who had been cast away by their own families are now left to find a new life of their own. So in that way, maybe he is the bringer of life, and he'll help them find a new place to rest their heads. So somehow Nukilik has found himself taking in all of the orphaned, abandoned babies of the island. Poor Dilemmaly still can't move more than one tile, so we'll have to stay pretty much here for now. But I suppose, Crescent, you could always do a little bit of hopping ahead. With those big frog toes of yours, you could light up the way all the way to the stream. And that means in the next episode, we can finally have them start floating their way all the way down to the tide pools. By then, I would imagine the Balance Sisters will have a pretty good base here. Not a single permanent nest under this tree. Seafoam, I think your conscience is finally clear. Not a bandit in sight by the sea. So things have been pretty crazy for the past few episodes, but it looks like they're finally turning around. And hopefully in the next episode, we can settle down and unlock an actual mutation for the Balance Sisters too. With a place to rest their head at night, they can pour all of their focus into teaching their kids how to crack open shells. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!